last year from NJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. Now, in today's session, we will discuss the Van der Pol method. Now, Van der Pol method is another resistance measurement or resistivity measurement technique. So, it was first proposed by Leo J. Van der Pol in 1958. It was using the method, this method, we can have the following properties except the resistivity of the material. Those are resistivity of the material, that is the first. Second, we can also find the doping of the type of the material, that whether it is a p type or an n type. Along with the doping, the carrier density of the majority carriers. Okay, so if p type is there, definitely hole would be the majority carrier, so its carrier density as well as the mobility of the charge carriers can be also measured. So along with the resistivity, Van der Pol method helps us to determine this all properties. Now, the following condition must be satisfied using this method. Those conditions are: sample should have flat shape, uniform thickness should be there, and it is for a better result. It is this all parameters should be maintained. Sample should not have isolated holes. The sample should be homogeneous in nature, as well as the four contacts that are located should be at the edges. Sample thickness must be less than the width of the length of the sample. So these parameters are to be kept in mind when we are starting with our Van der Pol method for measuring technique. Now, first we will go with the resistivity measurement. So in resistivity measurement, you can see that the four contacts are to be used. How they are used? They are 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are made in a counterclockwise arrangement. Another thing, all four ohmic contacts consist of the same material. Last, the same batch of the wire is used as a probe for all four contacts. So basically the matter of the internal resistance of the probe will be not affecting here much if we keep these things into the mind. So we can utilize there. So what is, we can see that the slab is there, okay, with some measurement, that is the thickness, and we are measuring what current as well as the voltage. So according to this vertical measurement, you can see that when we are writing with I12, so the current is actually entering from 2 and coming out from 1. That's why across it the voltage is measured, that is 4, 3. Similarly, the horizontal arrangement is done. So here we are getting with I14, that is it is entering from 1 and taken out from the 4. Okay. With the voltage that is 2, 3 is to be measured across. So now the following parameters are defined from it. First, resistivity of the material. Second, the thickness of the conducting layer. Third, when we are saying I12, it is injected into the contact 1 and taken out from the point number 2. Similarly, 4, 3 will be getting you the DC voltage measured between the contact 1 and 2. Now the vertical measurements are there, that is this are the same technique we are applying, and we are getting this all resistance, that is R12, 4, 3, but these are the vertical. So vertically we are just changing the position and we are getting this values. Similarly, horizontally we would be changing the position and we will be getting the horizontal measurements. Now combining all the measurements, we will get R vertical equals to R1243 plus R3421 plus R2134 plus R4312, and we are averaging it by 4. Similarly, R horizontal is equal to R2314 plus R3241 plus R4132 plus R411432. Okay, and divide by 4. Now as we are averaging down, now we will be utilizing the Van der Pol formula. And Van der Pol formula becomes now e raised to minus 5 R vertical, so all vertical values divided by Rs, plus e raised to minus R horizontal by Rs is equal to 1. So ideally it should be 1. But when we are taking an ideal condition, so R vertical equals to R horizontal equals to R. So all resistance value we are getting the same. So we will be equating that equation, instead of R horizontal and R vertical, we will be writing R. So e raised to minus pi r by Rs plus e raised to minus pi r by Rs equals to 1. That will give you 2 e raised to minus pi r upon Rs is equal to 1. So now we are getting pi r by Rs equals to ln of 2, where we will be writing Rs equals to pi r by ln by 2. Okay, so now this is the sheet resistance. Now when we need the resistivity is equal to Rs into D. So sheet resistance multiplied by your whatever the thickness is required. Okay, so resistivity into D. So now this we have already measured in the 4-probe method. So in 4-probe method we have already got the same value. Now we will discuss the Hall effect. Now what is basically a Hall effect? An Hall effect is basically proposed by Edwin Hall in 1879. The production of the potential difference across an electrical conductor when a magnetic field is applied in a direction perpendicular to that of the flow of the current. Okay, so there are some potential differences actually developed when a magnetic field is applied. That is what to be studied in the Hall effect. Okay, so you can see that is a slab. That slab current is flowing from that. That is, you can see that is IDC shown by the arrow. Magnetic field perpendicular to the slab is given and across you are measuring the Hall voltage. So now you can see that we have a 4 diagram. In first we have seen that the current is flowing through the slab. Okay, so just opposite the electron will be flowing. Obviously we know that. Now in the third diagram you can see that the magnetic field perpendicular is applied. So now what happens, you can see that if this is the current electron flow, okay, and sorry, if this is the current flow, we can take opposite direction as electron, and this is the magnetic field applied. So the force exerted would be on this side. Okay, so what is happening when electrons are flowing and magnetic field is applied? Electron exerts the force and gets on the one side. So last diagram you can see that all the electrons are on one side. So that particular slab would be now negative potential, and just opposite, that is the vice versa, would be a positive potential. Okay, so you can see that you are getting a potential difference. Now the Lorentz force experienced by an electron due to the applied magnetic field is given as F equals to QVB, where P is your magnetic field. Okay, so the velocity of the electron traveling due to the applied can be also given from the same, that is V equals to I upon NA cube. Now replacing that V into the equation of F, you are getting F equals to IB upon NA. So the accumulation of the electric charge on one side leads to an electric field strength, which is given by E equals to IB upon NA cube. Okay. So now the magnitude of the Hall voltage is the strength of the electric field multiplied by the width of the material. So when we are getting that V of H, now we are going for the Hall voltage is equal to with IB, that is the magnetic field, upon Q and A. So that can be exerted as VH equals to IB upon Qn into thickness. Now the shear density is defined as the density of the electrons that can be multiplied with the thickness. So ultimate the Hall voltage you will be getting VH equals to IB upon Q and S, and this is the expression for the Hall voltage. So now the Hall coefficient can be also determined. Hall coefficient is determined as R of H is equal to 1 upon N cube. So relation between the Hall voltage and the Hall coefficient is given as RH equals to VHT by IB. So now this was just a conceptual of the Hall voltage. Okay, now let's see how the measurement is done with the help of the Hall voltage. So you can see that Hall voltage measurement is carried in the presence of the magnetic field. So you will be having that same slab you can take, but the only change is that the reading that you are taking the cross reading. It was an adjacent reading, but here you can see the cross reading, and second change is that the magnetic field is applied. So you can see that when the magnetic field is in upward direction, the force exerted is on this side. And when it is in downward direction, the force exerted would be on the opposite side. So on the basis of the magnetic field, you will be getting the two potential for the same. Okay, so if you are getting in this direction, electron will be going on this side. So this side will become negative and this side will become positive. But if magnetic field is in bottom side, so what will happen? This side will become negative and this side will become positive. So this alteration would be there on the basis of the magnetic field. So now the following parameters are defined. Resistivity of the material, B, that is the constant and uniform magnetic field, positive when pointing towards the positive z-axis. So this is very much important. See, we are first making the B constant and then taking the uniform magnetic field. We are taking whether it is the positive side or the negative side. So here again the same current I3 will stand for injected, it will be injected in the 1 and taken out from the 3. Now similarly V24P will be nothing but the Hall voltage measured between the conductor 2 and 4 with positive magnetic field. So as we will be having positive and negative magnetic field, so it can be calculated as V13 equals to V13T minus V13, and similarly we will be having positive and negative for a single point of the voltage. So when we have just overall voltage is taken into consideration, we will be getting V13 plus V24 plus V31 plus V42 upon 4. That will give you determination of the parameter of the last hall voltage. If the hall voltage is positive and sample would be p type, and if hall voltage is negative, definitely the sample would be n type. So from this parameter we will get whether the material doping, which doping is done, whether it is a p type or an n type. Now, from the sheet density can be also calculated the hall voltage as Ns equals to Ip upon Q Vh, that is in mode, such that the positive and negativity is not affecting. Okay. And last, the mobility can be calculated from the hall voltage as mu equals to 1 upon Rs Nsq. So not only we have got the resistivity, we have got the doping, we have got the sheet density as well as the mobility of the carrier. Now we are going with the advantages. Only 4 contacts are required. That is the first advantage. Second, no need to measure the sample width or the distance between the contacts. That actually we are doing in the FOPRO method. Now the disadvantages are there that at measurement take a long time period. Okay, so it is a tedious job. Error due to the contact size and the placement can be significant. That's why we are already in the beginning we have mentioned that this following parameters need to be kept in mind. So this was all about the Van der Pol method. So hope you guys have understood well. See you in the next lecture.